Hi, beginner band. Welcome to our next lesson on minor keys. So since winter break, we've done some review of major keys. We had a quiz on that. And then we started to look at key signatures as well, so that we're aware that a major key doesn't always need to have accidentals, that you can replace it with a key signature, and that takes care of those accidentals. So we've all heard about the two main types of scales. We've learned about major, and so today we're going to start to think about minor. So every single major key has a related, or we call it a relative, minor key. So what that means is that they have the same key signature as each other. So, for example, in C major, which is the key signature we learned that has no sharps or flats, there is also a minor key that has no sharps or flats, and that would be A minor. Or as we see here, the key of G major has one sharp, which is F sharp, and we have E minor, which is the same. So we start off with that G major scale. It sounds something like this. And that E minor scale has the same notes, just we start in a different place. And the way that they're related is that E is the sixth note of G. So if we start on G again, here's where E starts. So we get that effect. Another thing to quickly note is that when we're dealing with major and minor scales, major scales always use capital letters to say the name of the key and a capital M to say major. Conversely, in a minor key, we use a small letter to name the key name and a small m to say minor. So capital C, capital M would tell us C major, and lowercase c, lowercase m would tell us C minor. A composition written in the minor key sounds very different from a composition in the major key. So here is an example of two melodies. Our first melody, I'm sure you've heard before. It's a theme by Offenbach. That's not Bach, but Offenbach, that we often refer to as the can-can. It is in the key of G major, and you'll hear that it sounds bright and happy. Conversely, the next melody you're going to hear will be in E minor. It now sounds dark and sad. So as you can hear, there is quite a difference despite the fact they're using the same set of notes. So, how do you find the key signature of a minor key? Let's start looking at how to do it with sharp keys first. So, to find the key signature of a minor key, go up 3 semitones from the tonic note to the relative major key and use its key signature. This can be done for both sharps and flat key signatures. So, for example, if you're in a minor key and your tonic note is C sharp, so you're in the key of C sharp minor, you'd start at C sharp, go up one semitone to D, one semitone to D sharp, and a final semitone to E. So, therefore, E major is the relative major to C sharp minor. E major has four sharps: F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. C sharp minor, therefore, also has four sharps: F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp in its key signature. So, next we're going to jump into some exercises. The first one, it says, find the relative major key for each minor key shown on the keyboard below. Name the sharps of the key signature shared by both keys. So they show you this example here of F sharp and A major. Even though this book does have that plus, stay away from the plus, because the plus means something else. Capital A, capital M. So, the relative minor of F sharp minor is A major, because we started on that F sharp, we went F sharp, one up to G, one up to G sharp, and then one up to A. So those are those three semitones to figure out our relative major. Then we let them know that A major has three sharps, and what those sharps are, being F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. And therefore, F sharp minor also has those three sharps. Now try the next three on your own. After you complete that, all you're doing is basically the same thing. So, fill in the blanks. If your minor key is A, we're going to go up three semitones, A to A sharp, to B to C. So my relative major key will be C major, and it will have no sharps or flats. We get to the next question, question 3, and we're doing the reverse. It is giving us our major key, and we want to say the relative minor. So if we have the key of C major, instead of going up three semitones, we're going to go down three semitones to figure out the relative major. So C goes down to B, goes down to B flat, goes down to A. So the relative minor key of C major would be A minor. Your next question has you just writing in key signatures. So you want to figure out your relative major to each of the named minors and then write in the corresponding key signature. Moving on to flat minor keys. So we do the same thing with our minor keys as we do with our major keys. So the first thing we want to do is figure out our tonic of our minor key and then go up three semitones to figure out our major key. So our example here, we have F minor to start. We go up three semitones from F to F sharp, G, then up to A flat. You always want to be two letters apart. That is an important thing to say, because in this case, you could go F, F sharp, G, G sharp. It's not what we want to do. We want to make sure that we're thinking of it as A flat. So F's relative minor is never going to be G. It's never going to be B. It's going to be two letters away and three semitones. So we know that A flat major has four flats, those being B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat. Therefore, F minor has the same key signature of 4 flats: B flat, E flat, A flat, and D flat. So now we're going to do some exercise very similar to the exercises that we did with our sharp keys, where we start with a note given to us. We then name the 3 semitones higher, and you write it in on that keyboard that's there. You name the major key and what flats that major key has, and then you also say the flats that your key has. So, for example, we start off with a C minor. So we're going to count up 3 semitones. So C to C sharp to D to, we could say D sharp or E flat, but remember we want 2 letter names between them. So this is going to be an E flat. So the relative major of C minor is E flat major. E flat major has how many flats? That's right. It has 3 flats. It has a B flat, an E flat, and an A flat. Therefore, C minor has those same flats. As we move on to the next question, just like in that first section, they name a minor key for us. We name the relative major by going up 3 semitones. We did A minor last time, same as before. Its relative major is going to be C major, and it still has no sharps or flats. We then have an exercise asking the same thing to go the opposite way from major to minor. Next, we're going to name both our major and minor key signatures that are provided for us. In question 9, it says, write a key signature for each of the minor keys below. So you're basically taking the information from just in the previous question and writing the key signatures yourself. Finally, on question 10, they give you the tonic note of a minor key. So, for example, we have a D in the first question. We have a C in the second question, an F in the third, and a G on the fourth. So the first one is going to be the minor key that lines up with that tonic. So we have discussed the differences between minor and major key signatures, that they're the same, only our tonic is 3 semitones lower. Something that we have in minor scales that we don't have in major scales are different forms. For example, in major, we only have one form, and it sounds like this. However, in the minor scale, we have 3 different forms, and they all sound different. Hear them one after another. So you might have heard that they all started off and ended the same, but in the middle, as they get to the highest note, a few different things changed. We're only going to focus on the first one in this lesson and talk about the other 2 next time. And the first one is that scale that we heard earlier today when we were comparing G major and E minor. This form of the scale is referred to as the natural minor, and it is written in its basic unchanged form. So when we put a key signature there, there are no amendments that we have to make to those notes. We just write our scale up and write it back down. There are many folk songs that use the natural minor scale. So let's look at an example here for a second. So as we have established in our previous questions, F sharp natural minor uses the same key signature as A major. So we're going to use exactly the same key signature and write in those three sharps of F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. So it'll look something like this. Instead of starting on A, it starts on F, and all the notes are just written out. When you see questions that ask you to only write descending, make sure you start from the top note, the top tonic, and go down to the bottom note, the bottom tonic. So you can see here in the key of F minor, we start on that high F, and we work our way down to that lower F. So here a few questions. First, we want you to write the following scales, ascending and descending, in quarter notes using a key signature. So the first thing you're going to do is figure out what the key signature is in E minor. Write that key signature next to the clef, and then starting from E, in quarter notes, write out your scale, ascending going up and descending going down, then doing the same thing for part B. Question 12 asks you to only write the descending notes like we had in F natural minor using their key signature. So once again, it tells you the key signature to use, and we're going to write just from the top of that key to the bottom of that key. So for example, letter A, you write in the key signature of B minor, and then start on a B and go B, A, G, F, E, D, C, B to get all those notes in there. Our final thing to mention is the fact that the semitones in our natural minor scale occur in a different place than in our major scale. So in our major scale, if you remember, the semitones occur between scale position 3 and 4, as well as between scale degrees 7 and 8. The minor scale, as we said, it's like it starts on the 6th scale degree. So instead of our semitones occurring between 3, 4, and 7 and 8, in our natural minor scale, the semitones now occur between scale degrees 2 and 3 and scale degrees 5 and 6, as you can see indicated here with slurs. So, as we move on to our last assignment here, or our last question, I should say, first, you're going to write the correct clef and accidentals to each scale. So you're not writing a key signature, you're writing accidentals and marking the semitone slurs, remembering that those are happening between scale degrees 2 and 3 and 5 and 6. Then your final question asks you to write the following scales, ascending only, so only going up, in half notes, using accidentals, not key signatures. Once again, marking the semitones between 2 and 3 and 5 and 6 with a slur. And that is our assignment for this month. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to ask for some clarification. See you next time.